It was a good song, and it may be one of the greatest songs I ever do in my whole career. And I'm just happy to be able to get respect for my work, and you know, I love my fans, and you know, everything I do is for you, you know.
In this video, we will tell you the story of this legendary composition and the history of Coolio. Let's go! Artist Leon Ivey Jr. was born August 1st, 1963 in Los Angeles County, California. His father was serving time in prison, so the stepfather, who worked at the post office, was engaged in raising the child, but could not devote enough time to his stepson. As a child, Coolio was sickly, suffered from asthma, so he spent a lot of time at home, playing board games with his mother's friends, and did well in school.
If I had been as smart as I really thought I was, then it wouldn't have really been that hard, you know.
Coolio's life started getting sidetracked when he was promoted from 5th to 7th grade. The older kids bullied him.
You know, for a while, until I got to junior high school, and then I just started fighting back. You know, when I started fighting back, and then they stopped bullying me. And that's all I had to do in the first place.
Yeah.
At about the same time, Coolio's mother and stepfather broke up. At first, her paycheck kept the family going, but when she lost her job, she started drinking. Suddenly, the boy did not have that family foundation under him anymore. That is when he started running with the neighborhood gangs, creating a sort of crazy man role for himself. The future performer carried weapons to school and became addicted to drugs, and closer to adulthood, he went to prison for theft. Either because of mistaken identity or because he took the hit for a friend, Coolio was jailed for 10 months when he was accused of trying to cash a money transfer stolen during an armed robbery. In custody, he turned 18 years old. Coolio learned his lesson, never wanting to go to jail again, and try to get out of the scene. But by 1985, he got addicted to crack cocaine. When he finally saw that his life was getting out of control, Coolio asked for help.
And then I just finally came to terms with the fact that it's not even a good high. It's not even fun. It ain't no...
Coolio went north to San Jose, California and moved in with his father. He got a job at the California Forestry Department to extinguish fires in the mountains. Thanks to his willpower and a faith in God, he returned from those mountains after 18 months, clean and sober. With the death of his mother from a brain hemorrhage in 1987, Coolio completely immersed himself in the growing rap scene.
What makes you dance? Come on, girls, won't you give me a chance? I've been trying for a long time to get you on the floor.
He also began working with the group Dub C and the Mad Circle, together with which he released the album Ain't a Damn Thing Changed, which had moderate success.
Of the lost and missing, rapping down a dark road on my way to prison. Stuck me in the studio, put me on the...
At the same time, the rapper continued to pursue a solo career. He signed a record deal with Tommy Boy Records and released It Takes a Thief with the title single Fantastic Voyage. The song received wide recognition on MTV and rose to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. After that, the audience was looking forward to new hits from the rising star, and he did not disappoint. In 1995, the single Gangsta's Paradise was released.
I really hate the trip, but I gotta low. As they croak, I see myself in the pistol smoke.
While Tupac and Suge Knight were fighting with Notorious B.I.G. and Puff Daddy for undivided superiority over the rap game, Coolio was improving chart positions with his ubiquitous hit. In the United States, the single spent 12 weeks in the top 2 of the Billboard Hot 100, of which 3 were spent at number 1 and 9 at number 2. The song was certified triple platinum by the RIAA on February 23, 1996, indicating 3 million copies sold. He surpassed 2 of the greatest songs in rap history, Big Papa and Dear Mama, and won a Grammy Award for Best Rap Solo Performance. Gangsta's Paradise was the soundtrack to the 1995 film Dangerous Minds, starring Michelle Pfeiffer as a teacher at a high school in the ghetto. The film starring Michelle tells about the problems at school faced by students and an idealistic teacher. To begin with, it's worth saying that the track Gangsta's Paradise is not the original, since the creator of this divine chorus and everything else is Stevie Wonder.
Been spending most their lives living in a pastime.
Coolio remembers these days as if it was yesterday. The rapper says that he once sat at his producer's house and heard the song Pastime Paradise, although he was a big fan of Stevie Wonder, but only at his house did he hear this song. He loved the song and began to freestyle to Pastime Paradise, with the first line being,
"As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing."
This is the only time in his career when he didn't even take a pen to write a text. According to him, it was as if he had a ready-made text in his head. Then they needed to get approval from Stevie Wonder himself, which turned out to be harder than they thought. Initially, he was against the idea overall, as he did not want his song to be associated with a gangster theme. But after Coolio's wife contacted Stevie Wonder's brother, he managed to convince him to agree. But that wasn't the end of it, as he rejected the first version of Gangsta's Paradise because it contained the N-word as well as other slurs. After Coolio rewrote the text, Stevie Wonder finally gave his approval.
They've been spending most of our life living in the gangster's paradise.
But his label did not think that the track would pop off the way it should. Later, he met with a manager named Katie Nelson. She was searching for songs for films and loved the track. She wanted to use a cut of the song in the movie Dangerous Minds, but later, after a wild response from the audience, the song was completely bought out. Coolio was shocked that he received as much money for one song as rappers received for an album at that time. Besides the fact that this soundtrack was in the movie Dangerous Minds, Gangsta's Paradise was in many other films, such as Pain and Gain, Bad Teacher, The Green Hornet, and also sounded in the trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog. The song also appeared in the trailer for the video game Need for Speed. The triple platinum Gangsta's Paradise album kept the hits coming. The Bright Party anthem 1 2 3 4 Something New hit the top 10 in 1996, and the Safe Sex anthem Too Hot was fairly popular as well. Coolio's third album, My Soul, could well have been expected to be a major event, given his massive success last time out. However, the album sold poorly, although the track See You When You Get There hit the top 40.
The other homie shot the other homie and ran off with his money, and when the other homies heard about it, they thought that it was fun.
He was disappointed with the way Tommy Boy's label handled My Soul. At that time, he thought it was his best work. He couldn't figure out what the problem was, but then he looked at their history with De La Soul and Naughty by Nature, and the rest. They didn't want to pay them. At that time, they did not give more money than $5 million. He didn't like which single was chosen from the album. He quit because of this, but was not released from the contract for another 3 years. He believes that he was sabotaged because he could have been the first rapper for DreamWorks, but Tommy Boy wanted more money, so that they would buy him out of the contract. He came back with a small label, but they didn't have enough money to support his mechanism. All of his singles have gone platinum, and because of this, no one remembers his albums. The disappointing performance of My Soul was complicated by various legal difficulties. In late 1997, Coolio and 7 members of his entourage were arrested for allegedly shoplifting from a German clothing store and assaulting the owner. He was later convicted on accessory charges and fined. Not long after that incident, German police threatened to charge Coolio with inciting crime after missing the humor behind his in-concert suggestion that listeners steal his album if they couldn't afford it. In the summer of 1998, Coolio was arrested again, this time in Lawndale, CA. He was pulled over and cited for driving on the wrong side of the road with an expired license, and was also charged with carrying a concealed weapon, despite having alerted the officer to the presence of the unloaded semi-automatic pistol in the vehicle and possessing a small amount of marijuana. Things weren't all bad though. He appeared regularly on the revived Hollywood Squares and set up his own label, Crowbar. He later released albums, but as you already understood, they were not doing that well.
Rip from the east to the west, get dirty in the south, and let the north stay fresh. We gon' heat it up and let it bang in the club. Today, go tomorrow, life is borrowed, all your tears and sorrow. Bring it back, and that's a fact. With the net for niggas, give you a check up. That nigga rolling in rollies, and his wrist rockin' rollie.
In addition to music, he actively starred in films. The artist continued his activity almost all the time, traveled around the world, and sang his hits. However, there were problems with the law again. In 2016, he was arrested and received 3 years of probation and 45 days of community service after he was arrested in Los Angeles when security found a loaded stolen pistol in his bag. Coolio called this incident a misunderstanding. And back to the music, his latest album is called Nobody's Foolio.
Things are getting drastic. It seems I got a habit of rolling that Caprice Classic and hitting them with the plastic.
On September 28, 2022, he died at the age of 59. Jarez, the rapper's manager, said that Coolio went to the bathroom and never came back. When Jarez went into the bathroom, he found him lying on the floor. Paramedics arrived minutes later and pronounced him dead at the scene. Jarez said paramedics believe he suffered a cardiac arrest, although no official cause of death has been released. Many rappers have already reacted to this tragedy. Snoop Dogg, Gangsta's Paradise, R.I.P. Ice Cube, this is sad news. I witnessed firsthand this man's grind to the top of the industry. Rest in peace, Coolio. Michelle Pfeiffer, heartbroken to hear of the passing of the gifted artist Coolio, a life cut entirely too short. As some of you may know, I was lucky enough to work with him on Dangerous Minds in 1995. He won a Grammy for his brilliant song on the soundtrack, which I think was the reason our film saw so much success. I remember him being nothing but gracious. 30 years later, I still get chills when I hear the song, sending love and light to his family. Rest in power, artist Leon Ivy Jr. The last single was released by Coolio on June 30th, 2020.
Him, but it won't burn cool. Baby so hot in them kerosene boots, and my soul so cool.
Undoubtedly, Coolio made a huge contribution to the development and popularization of hip-hop in the 90s, for which we are all eternally grateful. Rest in peace, artist Leon Ivy Jr.